One of Britain's top secret agents. His name, naturally enough, is James Bond, and they'll be meeting him at the premiere of the latest 007 movie, The Living Daylights. It might be the 15th Bond film, but this one does have a new name, playing the part of the most famous secret agent in the world. His name is Timothy Dalton, and Sarah Spiller went to meet him.
25 years after 007 shot onto the screens, a new James Bond has been given the license to kill and to thrill. At over 6 foot tall with dark, good looks, Timothy Dalton is a special agent of the 80s. Though he still gets the villains and the girl, he believes this is a very different kind of Bond movie.
I think this film, The Living Daylights, is it's not just an action-adventure film. It's the first time you've seen what could be called a romantic mystery thriller. There's an honest and good relationship with the leading lady. You see Bond with a lot more, I hope, harder edges and also softer edges.
Where's Koskov?
He disappeared 2 weeks ago. I was about to have him arrested.
Why?
For misusing state funds.
Before Bond, Dalton had a formidable reputation as a stage actor, and in this film it shows. He's worked hard to put his own stamp on Ian Fleming's tough, suave hero, and the way he thinks about the role may come as a shock to Bond fans.
Fleming's Bond was a man who often was extremely vulnerable. You read passage after passage after passage throughout the books where his insides were taut and wrenching with nerves, where, he'd have to have a drink or a pill just to stay calm in order to do the job he had to do. We see a lot of films these days, people talk about heroes and superheroes and supermen and all that, and I don't think they're heroes. Anyone that is bound to win, anyone that's inhuman, not human, ain't a hero. Heroes are the survivors. Heroes are the people that have that extra tenacity and resolve to deal with what life throws at them.
They let you go so they could follow you.
It's not just 007 who's different, it's the leading lady too. The latest Bond girl wears little makeup and is not a glamour puss. And if that's a departure, so is the way Dalton sees Bond's womanizing. He claims Bond is not so much a macho lady killer as a reluctant romantic.
He was a sucker, Bond. He'd get out on some dangerous mission, and have no time at all for ladies, for pleasure, for women. He'd make it, some of the books, he'd make it absolutely clear, no, you can't be having women when you're working. They get in the way, they're excess baggage. You put yourself at risk and within 2 pages, he's met some woman in distress, a damsel in distress, and fallen in love with her.
A very romantic way of looking at the
It is a very romantic way, and that's one of the things we try to do in our film.
Brace yourself.
Romance aside, the action remains as gripping as ever. It's rumoured Dalton scared the living daylights out of the stunt team with his daredevil approach. But though he admits he put his life in their hands, he won't give any secrets away.
Cinema is magic. It's tremendous magic. You go in there, the screen opens, and you've got to believe. No one wants to spend their £5 or their £25 that they're taking the family and be sitting watching what could be the most terrifically exciting moment, and with the clear knowledge, oh, he did that, or he didn't do that, or that was a trick. What they really did was they hung at this and there was a blue at that, and it was all fake. They must believe, and it's our job as professionals to make them believe. So one shouldn't expose the tricks. But I thought it was important to try and do as much of the action as I could.
But if the Bond magic does work in this film, Timothy Dalton will have to face the very public side of being 007. He doesn't appear to relish the prospect and is rather surprised at the thought of becoming a sex symbol.
I wake up on Tuesday morning as a sex symbol. Well, I don't think I'm going to feel any different. And it's not really realistic, is it? I mean, you can't take that seriously. If anybody responds in that way, they're responding to an image on the screen. They're responding to that particular kind of man who can do those particular kind of things. You know, it's not me.
Sex symbol or not, Dalton's future as Bond depends very much on this one film. And this week it'll be up to audiences to decide whether this 007 can make the fantasy work.
Just before she went out to do that interview, Sarah Spiller was sitting in the office reading the cuttings on Timothy Dalton. And the thing that excited her most was the fact he was reputed to be such a good kisser, so disappointing she didn't discover for herself.
Anyway, I had a talk with Tim, and I successfully got him to agree to an informal chat. I met up with him at Triumph Theatre Productions, producers of his new venture, Eugene O'Neill's play A Touch of the Poet, on which he's starring opposite Vanessa Redgrave as volatile Irishman Cornelius Melody. So have
I'm very pleased to be doing this play. It's a great new discovery. It's one of Eugene O'Neill's finest plays, but it's been rather forgotten, and to rediscover it and do it here in the West End, I think, is very special.
Did you find it?
Well, in a sense, no. I was asked to find a play, and I was looking through lots and lots of what are wonderful plays, but of course all the good plays have been done time and time and time again. Vanessa suggested to me that I read this play, and said that she'd love to play Nora in it. And I read it, and it was like finding the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. I mean, a wonderful play by a great playwright that hadn't really been done in England before.
It's a smashing part for you, isn't it?
Well,
it really extends you.
I'm doing my best with it, but it is a terrific part.
And you've got a cast that, I mean, anyone would die for. There's not a duffer amongst them.
Oh, no. They were marvellous. Marvellous.
Especially John McEnery.
Well, all of them. I think John is terrific. Amanda Boxer, Simon Cody, Bill Armstrong. Rudy Davis is terrific as the daughter torn between mother and father.
Yes, brilliant.
There's James Berwick and Shay Gorman. It's a special piece.
When you decided that you'd like to become an actor, how old were you?
Well, I guess I'd always wanted to be, ever since, I don't know if you're probably too young to remember, Kathy, but you remember those Saturday morning pictures where you used to go in for threepence or sixpence or so? I can always remember being really captivated by the magic and the excitement and the fantasy of, what we were seeing on the screen.
Yes, you had your first really big break when you were about 21. I mean, a major movie.
The King of France and the Lion in Winter.
Yes. That was...
With O'Toole and Hepburn.
Yes. And then after that?
Well, and after that it rather tumbled. It began to really move along. There was Cromwell, there was Mary Queen of Scots, there was Wuthering Heights.
You've had a very versatile career. Which part of you like playing best?
God, I know, I've liked them all. I mean, when you're involved in something, you can't help but commit to it totally. I'm very proud of Jane Eyre. Because I think that was... I don't know.
Splendid, wasn't it?
Well, I was a bit arrogant to say so, but I think it was really good. I was very pleased once upon a time. I was in America, and I discovered it was the New York Times Pick of the Week on the Arts and Entertainment channel.
That's great. I've got to ask you this. You've become sort of... I mean, I think really that your looks have got in the way a bit of you.
Well, everybody gets cast based on how they look. I mean, if you're a short, fat man, you get cast for short, fat parts.
Yes.
If you're something else, I mean, obviously how you are, your physical sense of being, it does shape and channel how you cast. I mean, if I hadn't looked like I do look, maybe I wouldn't have got, any of the parts I have got, so I can't complain.
What, like the part with Mae West, you mean? Oh, do tell everybody about how you got that part. That's terribly funny.
Well, I don't know how I got it.
You do?
Well, I was just wrong. No, she didn't.
Well, what happened then?
No, I just got a call from Jimmy Sharkey, my agent, who said, sit down in a chair whilst I tell you this news.
Yes.
You've just been asked to go to Hollywood to play Mae West's leading man in a film. Well, this was only a few years ago. It's quite astonishing.
But you went?
I did. No, not a half. I mean, I wouldn't miss that chance. Not a good film.
No.
But
we won't talk about that then.
One for the collection, I suppose.
You also did a lot of mini-series, things that I would have thought that you wouldn't have done very much. Like you did something with Farrar Fawcett, you've done Sins.
Well, I did a
Well,
special of Charlie's Angels
That's
once.
right, yes.
And I did Minstrel's Daughter and Sins and Centennial. And The Master of Ballantrae. Yeah.
But people would consider those kind of a bit, from the other stuff we do.
Yes, they
Is it
would, but
unusual
I think that's a very blinkered point of view. I mean, as I was saying earlier, if you are an actor, a professional working actor, there's a whole world out there, and it's all got to be looked at. It's all got to be seen. It's got to be challenged.
Does money influence you, Tim?
Well, of course it does. I mean, if you're broke, you need it. You've got to work
You've never
for
been
money.
broke, have you?
Well,
You've
I've
never been the sort of actor who's sort of been having to do stuff because you need the money.
If I was very fortunate. I mean, after The Lion in Winter, that opened up to me a career in films. And so there always has been for me the luxury of being able to turn down stuff that I've not wanted to do.
When you were offered the part of Bond, was it a hard decision for you to play that? Did you have a lot of thoughts about what it was going to do to your life?
Well, not really. I read the script.
Yes.
It had all the potential to be a really good, exciting adventure story. And I thought, well, how, if you'd say yes to the same kind of thing in any other circumstance, why not say yes to it in this? I mean, the Bond films are the best of their kind. They're wonderful.
Did you have to shape up for James Bond?
Just as much as I shaped up for Cornelius Melody.
It's obvious that you don't do those stunts because you're not a bit fit. So who did them for you?
It is fair to say there is a highly professional, skilled team of stuntmen working on the movie, but I was involved in most of them.
Now, what does that mean? Does
No,
that
well,
mean
it
just sort
means-
of
it
opened
means
the car
exact-
door and
it's-
kind of, as it slowed down, you hopped out, or
It
what?
kind of, sort of means something along those lines, yeah.
But is it because you're not...
No, but I don't like talking about the stunts because you don't. I mean, if you go into a cinema and you want to watch a marvelous film that's going to take you away into a fantasy land,
Yes.
you don't want to know the nuts and bolts of it.
Well, I do. That's why I'm asking you.
Yes, well, that's our secret.
But the thing that I thought you would have found most difficult in Bond wasn't the stunts, was that wearing those clothes, the suits. You know the suits and the way you were dressed up?
Yeah.
I've never seen you ever dressed up in a suit and collar and tie.
Well, I mean, most of the time we managed to get sort of casual shirts and casual jackets in Bond. There was the odd suit.
Well, I mean, my image of you in that is
I mean, in the
something
office and so on.
sophisticated-looking bloke in it. And I know you're not...
Did that work?
I think it did.
Good.
It impressed me.
Good. Good.
Because you don't really like dressing up very much, do you?
I've never been bothered about that, really. As long as you're clean and neat and don't smell, I think you're all right.
Well, I don't think you smell a lot.
Fashion has never been something. I think fashion's a con.
Do you? Why?
Because it influences people away from what they'd probably be most happy with and makes them spend an awful lot of money looking probably in a way that doesn't ultimately suit them.
Tim, can you go down the local pub still and have fish and chips and lead a perfectly normal life like you were doing?
Of course, yes. I mean, in a regular sense, it's not made the slightest difference. I mean, the people in the street.
Give me examples about that now. I mean, for instance,
I was
can you
just
go
going
down...
to.
I'm sorry. Right, come on, give me examples.
People in the street treat you with the same respect they'd like to be treated themselves. I mean, they're perfectly nice and sensible and good and friendly, and nobody bothers you because they wouldn't like to be bothered themselves, and that's good and right.
Have you bought a bigger car, or have you...
No, I've still got the same car I had beforehand. I've got the same house I had beforehand, and I'm very happy.
Licence to Kill seems set to be yet another box office success in the series, which now stretches back over 25 years. Not surprisingly, for a secret agent, Mr. Dalton is a little reluctant to give television interviews, but our Cathy McGowan managed to persuade him and got a look behind the scenes at last night's celebrity launch.
What difference has the Bond films made to your life? But when I talked to you a little while ago, you said it hasn't made any difference, it's not going to change it, but it must have done.
I still have to go and get my tin of beans or my
And do you
packet of,
do you go and get
tea bags.
You're ruining the image for everyone here.
I mean, when I was 21, I did The Lion in Winter, and I was living in a bedsit in Clapham.
I know you were.
I mean, the only decoration I had on the walls of that room were 1960-something coloured shirts that I stuck on the wall because I didn't have a wardrobe. I mean, I had to use, what do you call it, the picture rail to hang my shirts on. And then I was in this bedsit, and all of a sudden this terrific Rolls Royce with a flag on the front of it turns up to to take me to the airport, to fly me to New York for the premiere of The Lion in Winter. And there I am in a hotel suite on Central Park and whopping around in limousines and so for about 5 days. And then I'm back in the bed sitting Clapham. Well, I mean, that, for me, at the age of about 21, was one of the best experiences you can ever have. There is reality and there is fantasy. And reality is where we all live.
You also went off to do quite a weird film, didn't you? With Mae West.
Well, that was a long time ago. That was the first film I ever made in America.
I didn't ask you how long ago it was. I just said it was...
Well, it sounded like you were being recent. Yes, I did.
And you were singing with her, weren't you?
After a fashion.
And perhaps this is the point where we ought to show a clip.
Oh, you are not? Well, that's not me. I can't sing. I mean, oh, Christ, that's awful.
Have you ever thought about doing that, making a record or something like
Oh,
that?
no, I really can't sing. I mean, if I had a dream, it would be able to sing like someone like Domingo.
When you do interviews, you're absolutely almost paranoid about anyone asking you about things you do in your private life, aren't you? You get quite touchy about that.
No, I don't get touchy.
Oh,
No, I don't get touchy.
I was reading somewhere the other day that every time some men look in the mirror in the morning when they're going to shave, they imagine, you know, that they're James Bond. What happens to you when you look in the mirror in the morning then?
That's a rotten question. I just think, oh, God.
One film missing from this Bond film are the girls, the women. There's not many of them around. No love scenes.
What do you mean?
Was that to do with you?
Didn't you go and see the film?
I did, I saw it. I didn't see any love scenes in it.
What about the one with Talisa?
That wasn't much. It was just a hug, wasn't it?
A little bit more. Suggested.
What do your mum and dad think about now that you're Bond?
Do you know, I honestly don't really. I mean, I know they're very proud and very happy and very pleased. That I know. I don't think that's the crucial question. I think the crucial question for them would be, or would have been 20-odd years ago, you know, could the kid make a living? Well, he has done.
I think it's the best of them all. So much difference in the style of Bond's last picture, Timothy Dalton's. I thought he was superb in this one.
I think he's wonderful and it's great and the most amazing stunts I think I've ever seen.
Wonderful. Yes, it had everything and more, everything you'd expect and more. I think it's the best one they've done in ages.
Because you've been a Bond girl, as they say. Oh yes, I'm very proud to have been one too, I tell you that. This is the first Tim Dalton film I've seen. I didn't see the last one. Because I was kind of faithful to Roger. I think it's great. I've seen it 4 times and it's really exciting. 4 times? Yes. And I'll see it again. It was, I think, more adventurous than the one that I was involved in. Yes, it was more serious in a way, but it was very good.
Blimey, Harry, that's a funny suit you got on tonight. Yeah, right, that's with you.
Frank, you've just seen the Bond film. What was it like?
It was very, very good. It's not like the normal Bonds when you see all the legs and boobs and kissing, you know, like eating each other. You know what I mean, all that. But it's cut down a little bit. It's very good, I think.
Would you like to be in a Bond film?
Yeah, I just missed this one, so I was told. I would love to be in the Bond film. A darker version, but I'd like to be in it.
Come on, if you're asking what I thought of the Bond film. Come on then.
What did you think of your performance in this movie?
Actually, I wasn't in it, but I thought
I thought your performance was great. I mean, anybody who can turn up in a brilliant dress like that, which has a stunning pair of legs, deserves all the accolades they get.
What can I say? What could I say,
All right, see you later.
Yeah, what can you say? He's turning the tables on you.
I know.
Now, is Tim Dalton a sort of old flame of yours then, Kathy?
You're talking like a Sun reporter. I'm ashamed of you. How dare you?
Oh. What do you think? Okay, what do you think of the film then? Is it? I mean, are you a Bond film fan?
No, I don't really. I didn't like Bond films until I actually saw The Living Daylights, and I've seen Tim in this. And what I can say is they're very, very lucky to get him because he's modernised the whole thing. It's a terrific film.
Timothy Dalton's second outing in the James Bond role, and this time he's a lot tougher and more realistic than ever before.
Action.
I think this appeals to Timothy very much, and it has to be realistic for the sake of the story, and it has to be sometimes almost breathtakingly real, and that's essential. It's not gratuitous. It's very essential to the story.
Here we go. That'll be $3.50. Do your friends want something?
Let me get it. No! Is that enough? Run a tab.
When I came to this project, one of the real reasons why I accepted to do it was that Mr. Broccoli had said he wanted to take these films back to, not how they were at the beginning, but he wanted to take them back to the spirit of the earlier films.
Am I going to win or lose?
Lose, but not much.
Vodka martini, eh?
Shaken, not stirred. Timothy Dalton is definitely a different James Bond than we've seen before because he's very human. He shows fear and he shows anger and frustration and lust. I mean, well, all the Bonds showed lust, but he shows a grittiness that you don't really see, a humanity. He feels pain, he's frightened, and all the Bonds in the past have either sort of walked through it unscathed or they're suave. It wasn't the same. I mean, this Bond bleeds. He suffers.
And action!
Bottom, and I've gone there, and bottom.
That's it. Yeah.
Timothy somehow has brought a more realistic view to it and made the character much more human. He gets beaten up, whereas Roger or Sean would have come out of it on top, but a bit dishevelled. Timothy likes to be more basic and more physical about the action, and if there's two big guys going to beat him up, he's going to have a job to get out of it. He'll get out of it, but in a much more realistic manner.
This time Bond's villain is Sanchez, who also has a realistic edge.
What did he promise you? His heart. Give her his heart.
Why Fran Sanchez to me is probably the most dangerous villain that I've seen in the Bond films is because he's very seductive. He's very real. In the past, and not taking away from the great entertainment that we've had from the other Bond villains, but they've been characters that have been, their reality was stretched out a little bit. And while they were entertaining and engaging, they weren't as seductive as this character is because of he's real. He's very real. He believes 100% in what he is doing.
You come here to my place without references, carrying a piece, throwing around a lot of money. But you should know something. Nobody saw you come in, so nobody has to see you go out.
License to Kill, which is out on video now. Remember, though, the film has a 15 certificate, so it shouldn't be seen by minors. It's the first time, incidentally, that a Bond film has ever had a restrictive certificate.